Everybody, I want to introduce Marilyn Buehler. She's a master at
herbs and gardening.
Anyway, thank you all for coming out today, and I'm going to turn it over to Marilyn and get started.
I have been involved with herbs. My late husband and I had an herb farm back in the 70s and 80s. And I just grew up with herbs. My grandmother from Denmark raised me, and when I had a broken arm, instead of taking me to the doctor, she got comfrey leaf and wrapped my arm, and just like a doctor would do, and she was no doctor. But I won't touch too much on medicinal herbs because I don't know what medicines you all are taking, and a lot of your medicines today are derived from. Okay, so we'll start with cooking herbs. Up here I've got sage, basil, marjoram, dill, fennel, peppermint, spearmint, lemon balm, bee balm, monarda. It has several names. Okay, now they have my two very best types of lavender you can grow: Munstead and Hidcote. The Hidcote will have more of a blue-purple flower, and both of these flower profusely. And this one will have more of a light lilac purple color. But this one produces profusely. I mean, it just flowers all summer long if you pick your flowers. I make my own teas, which are really, really good. They're really easy to grow. Most of them at one time or another throughout their long millennial history, most people considered weeds. And then somehow or another something taught them that these were useful. So do you use any of your herbs for keeping mosquitoes and flies at bay? Lemongrass, rosemary, lavender, any of those you want to plant around. Eucalyptus. Your peppermint will repel spiders. They just don't like it. Culinary wise, I brought some of my herbs from home, but you could tell the difference in the oregano that you get at the store and the oregano you grow and dry yourself. I love fennel. I grow fennel for the butterflies. At my apartment, I've got them in a pot. And they're already, it seems like there's something in there, a little bitty bug, a worm of some sort. But the seeds, the fresh seeds, if you love black licorice, if you even like black licorice, that's what they taste like. And they're a very good breath freshener. A half a teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon of the fresh seeds will alleviate tummy problems. I know that for a fact it works. But fennel I just like it. It winters over, and when it gets bigger, like its second year, I'll cut some of these, the wider stems, put them in your salads. It is delicious, and it's good for you. Dill. A lot of people use dill seed. I haven't used dill seed in I don't know how long. I dry the flowers when they first come out, and the wheat, what's called the dill weed. It's sweeter. Your seeds are bitter. Unless you mix them in, there's several reasons why you would prefer not to use the seeds. And I can't really think of one where you would use the seeds. But believe me, you will love. It's sweeter and it has a more delicate dill flavor. There are several kinds of oregano. Greek oregano is probably the hardiest and the best one to grow. It's very sun tolerant here in Texas. It's a perennial. It grows into a nice bush. And you can use it for all sorts of things. Sweet marjoram, it's awesome. I prefer it to oregano in my spaghetti sauces. It's an annual. It won't winter over unless it's protected. If the weather gets in the mid 30s, it will kill it unless it's in a protected position. Bee balm, Oswego tea, Monarda, there's several names for this. And contrary to popular opinion that I think has been going around for centuries, it was not the tea stolen in the Boston Tea Party. It just wasn't. But it's still, the leaves and the flowers are delicious. When you grow it, you want to grow it where it gets morning sun, but you don't want it, the hot afternoon sun will kill it. It just can't take that. It comes in red and pink and purple. Yeah, the red is definitely a hybrid. Its color normally is purple to a darker pink. Lemon balm, another one of my favorites. It's good for tea. It's good to repel. I have some big pots that I have around my patio in my apartment, and they're just, I've got mint, I've got lemon balm. I'll put some rosemary and lemongrass in this. It's like those big ones the trees are in. And you just, you need to water them, and we'll talk about fertilizing in a minute. Okay, parsley. There's several different kinds of parsley. Italian flat-leaf parsley is the one to use for culinary purposes. It's, I like to chew on it. It makes your mouth feel good, and it's a breath freshener, and it dries. And if I didn't use it all, I would dry it. And we'll get into drying herbs in a minute. Thyme. There's all kinds of thyme. English thyme is my favorite. It's a perennial. It grows practically anywhere. It doesn't require a lot of work to grow it. It's, when it blooms, the bees love it. And I found out a couple of years ago that those wolf spiders, those big things, yeah, they love it too. So be careful if you grow it. And yeah, for some reason, it is the one plant I've never seen any other spider on it. But I saw, it's been 3 years. I had a big area of English thyme, and it was early spring, mid-spring. And every day I'd go out and water or just check on my gardens, and there'd be these 2 big wolf spiders. I went out one day, and there were a bunch of tiny little wolf spiders with these, and I contacted a friend of mine at the University of Illinois, and he said, yeah, we've known for years they like thyme. So I've grown thyme in this for probably 50 years, and that was the one time I saw the wolf spider. A basil. Who doesn't like basil? And it comes in so many different varieties. This is your plain, it's a large leaf basil. It's beautiful to grow. It's great to grow around your tomatoes, your cucumbers. How many of you make your own orange lemon peels? You buy organic lemons too, or you scrub them really good. And when you first get them, you go home. You can use this zester or this. I prefer this because it leaves them a little more whole, and they retain more flavor. But that's something that you may want to consider doing, because I've tried it with, the store-bought. It's just not near as good. And I know y'all probably think I'm against store-bought herbs. I am not. There are some things that I just can't grow in this country. So I do buy my spices and herbs sometimes. What is the process for drying orange peel or lemon peel? When you get your fruit, you want to wash them good. Even if they're organic, you just don't need to wash them as good. You dry them good. You take because I like it's a little bigger, and I just zest the whole lime, and then I slice it, and I've got these little plastic containers, and I freeze the juice in to use in different things that I use lime juice in. But you'll find you can add some lime peel to your green beans, to your potatoes, to any of your vegetables. Last night for supper I had cabbage, onion, carrots, turnips, and sweet potato diced up and peeled. And I put some olive oil over it, and I put a little bit of thyme, salt and pepper, and then I put my lime zest and mixed it up, and it was delicious. Put it in a paper plate, and every morning I just would shake it a little bit, and then, when it got dry, this is 2 years old. A lot of herbs do better with fertilizer. Now, I'm not just promoting organic garden tone for herbs. I have used that probably, it wasn't available in St. Louis, but we had a big compost pile there. But I've used that, and I've got a copy or a package of it on the side there. You use that once every 2 to 3 weeks. And you just sprinkle it, you take one of those kids, or I do, you could use anything, and you just kind of work up the soil after you put it in, and you water it, and it will grow beautiful plants. For those of you that grow in pots, if you're still using last year's dirt, get your root stimulator. You mix 3 tablespoons to a gallon or whatever you want to use, and then you use it like once a month during the growing season, or if you really, especially at first, it will help your roots grow, and good roots are indicative of a good plant. Now, there are all sorts of bug repellents. I have always used this, neem oil. I mixed my own. I bought my own bottle, and I use this. Or you can use this, either one. They work really good. I have never had luck with ladybugs staying in my yard for my aphids, but you spray this according to directions on any of your plants, but especially your herbs. Do you spray the neem oil in the sun or the shade? And I always used it in the shade just because that's what I do. If you put any kind of oil repellent on your plants in the sun, it will eat holes in the leaves. Marigolds have always been, my grandmother that raised me, she always planted marigolds around everything. Of course, we didn't have all these different varieties of them, but they still work. Calendula, I love calendula because it's a medicinal herb that makes the best hand cream or hand, rubs, or, if you extract the oils from it, which is easy to do in a slow cooker, you can make your own calendula cream. Okay, rosemary does not like a lot of water at all. You want your lavenders to be in where they have good drainage. They've got Munstead and Hidcote finally. Sage does not like to be wet, have wet feet. Do you all know how to prepare your pots if you're growing in pots? You can take those organic peanuts that are made from cornstarch. Some people use the styrofoam peanuts, and I guess it doesn't make any difference. But if you've got a big pot, you want to fill it halfway full of the styrofoams, and I've read lately where people are using aluminum soda cans that are bent up to lighten the load of the plants. And aluminum doesn't rust, so it wouldn't hurt the pot or the plants. You don't want to plant your dills or your fennels by anything else in your garden. They do not grow good together with much of anything. Okay, one thing about harvesting, when you first bring your rosemary, your lemon balm, your spearmint, your oregano, your sweet marjoram, and your catnip, you want to just trim a little bit off the top. And you can, for small snippets like I have these little paper plates, and I just leave them on my kitchen counter. They don't draw bugs. And the apartment people have been very good about keeping bugs at bay in the apartment. And I just do that. That's one way to dry them. If, on the other hand, your basil is this big and you want to harvest a large amount of it, you really can harvest them at most any time. But the best time to harvest them is in the morning, after the sun dries the dew, and in the evening, right at when the heat of the day is gone. And you don't want to let your rosemary get too short. But you can, I have cut stems this long on my oregano. Now there's several ways to dry. Some people use microwaves, which you can do. You would get a paper plate or a microwave safe plate. You would put down some parchment paper, don't use paper towel, and you would put your snippets or whatever on there. Now, if you're harvesting a lot, you do not want to pile them up. They need room to air in between. You would lay these on your plate. I think you do it at 50%, and you do it slowly. You do it 1 minute at a time till it reaches the desired dryness. I don't like that method because it over dries them and makes them not good. A couple of the methods that I use, your plant flats or your soda flats, cardboard flats, you know what I mean when I'm talking about the cardboard flats. Okay, even if you get a dirty one, clean it, let it dry, whatever. I put paper towels over the bottom, and I'll wash my herbs first, and I will just lay them in there. Now, I have this big bowl, it's about that big around. I used to make cucumbers and other things in it when I had a family at home. And I fill that with cold water, and I'll put in a bunch of herbs, and then I will, wash them really good. And then I lay them out on dish towels to dry. And I'll put them out there, not on top of each other. They can be close and touching. And I pat them dry, and I leave them set on my kitchen counter for about 3 hours. And that pretty much dries them. Then I put them in my cardboard flats. Another method which I like to use on parsley, and you can use this on any herb. You know what a brown paper sack, lunch sack is, or the white ones. Mary Lou has heard this so many times. You take the bag, you clean your herbs like I showed you. Then you take the floury, this end, and you put that in the bag. Well, you want to write on the bag what it is, because you may not recognize it after it's dried. And you put, the stem ends will come out, and you can tie it with a string, wrap it with a rubber band, and I stick it in the top part of my refrigerator, and it takes 3 weeks to dry, but they are so beautifully green and flavorful. They are just really, they're really good. If you'll notice in your tea bags, they have some have like a heaping teaspoon. You have to know your herb strength. I like peppermint or spearmint better than peppermint, and I'll put of dried herb. I'd probably put a fourth. Now this is making a liter of tea in a pitcher. You use twice as much with fresh herbs. I'll put a good fourth cup in, and then I buy the Louisiana decaf tea bags that for quarts, and I'll put one of those in. You can also add some lemon balm to that, and catnip are all. But if you just want catnip tea from your dried herbs, you just about a teaspoon, a heaping teaspoon, either in a tea bag or a tea container. And the question was asked earlier about the temperature of the water you don't want boiling water unless you're using some spices, and even then I don't. I'll take a Louisiana decaf tea bag, a fourth cup of my dried spearmint, and you can use fresh. You just need to use twice as much. And if you're using dried herbs and they call for a teaspoon of fresh herbs, you want to use a half a teaspoon. But you can add lemon peel, lime peel. I don't like lemons as much as I like lime, so I don't do much with lemons. But it's the same thing as with lime and or lemon and oranges. I have tried using the fennel when my kids were younger and would get upset stomachs, because fennel is good for your digestive tract. My grandmother tells me, and we used it on my daughter when she was born, the fennel on the tip of the baby's tongue, just they didn't swallow it. We would just take this, and if they had colic or anything like that, it would alleviate it temporarily. Oh, this Fourthies vinaigrette, you should have the recipe for it. It's a good marinade for meats. It's good to put over fish, and it's good on any salad you want. Well, I don't know about potato salad, but your green leafy salads, that vegetable is really good. I haven't bought store salad dressing in forever. It's so easy to make your own, especially it's oil, vinegar, and we've got so many different oils on the market today. You can spice it up with that, maybe a little bit of fresh garlic. The taste between what you make at home and buy in the store is really different. And most recipes only make like a half a cup. And people thought I was crazy when I did this even years ago. It was something my grandmother did. She'd put her dressing in the salad bowl first. If there were going to be four salad ingredients, she'd put in 4 tablespoons. Or sometimes she'd just take the ingredients and make them and put them in the bottom. Then she'd go in with her onions, carrot, whatever, and her lettuce was last. And then when you serve it, you take your spoon and you turn it and it gets evenly coated. It's really a good way to make your salads.